Good afternoon and welcome back to Smoke and Mirrors. We've been gone for a while, but it feels good to be back. Gentlemen, how are you doing? How was your 2 week vacation? Deck, how are you? You're looking good. I
Thanks.
mean, maybe due for a little haircut, but you look good otherwise.
Yeah, I know. I guess maybe showered. I don't know if I used a different conditioner or something. It's been 2 weeks.
Got a lot of volume though. I'm liking the volume.
Appreciate that. I appreciate that. I know you guys got a game tomorrow, right? So good luck. Who do you guys
Yes,
play?
sir.
Bolts.
Right? Yeah.
The Bolts.
Yeah.
Okay. I think you guys match up well against the Bolts. They're scrap. We lost 2 games to them by 1 run. But they're a scrappy team. But
Yeah, we
they're
beat
not gonna
them.
they're
We
not
beat
gonna
them
hit the ball
yesterday.
that hard. They're not gonna hit
Nah,
the ball that hard.
no, they
Oh, you
don't.
already you already played
We
game one
played
against
game
them?
one. Yeah, we beat them
Okay.
8-1.
Their pitches
And
are all right, but not anything to be worried about. But yeah,
yeah,
anyway,
no, we did well against them. And
that's
then when we ended the season, we what was it? We mercied them.
15
Uh
to 3.
yeah,
that's a fun one.
15-3,
But
8-1. But yeah, so yeah, we have a game Tuesday. But otherwise, you but more on you. Your vacation was good.
yeah, my vacation.
Happy
was
belated
awesome.
birthday.
Thank you,
Right?
thank you. I did have a birthday. The vacation was good, a lot of fun. Know everyone up there, so it's always good to get away. Had 2 games this weekend, 2 playoff games. Won the first one. We put down the Pit Bulls. See what I did there? We did it in handily, no problem at all. Cliff threw another gem. I threw 7 innings, 2 earned runs yesterday, and we were up 3 runs going into the eighth inning. I was feeling ready to, go through a complete game, and I got ejected for the first time in my actually the first time in my life. I've
Ever.
never gotten ejected. To say that the umpire
Balls, the arguing balls and strikes. Is that what happened?
no, it's a little complicated. The umpire, first of all,
Abridged version. Do the
I'm
abridged
going to give you
version.
the quickest version ever. The umpire, right? So the home plate umpire was the first of all, they showed up 40 minutes late. We never seen these guys ever, right?
Yeah.
Of course, for a playoff game, I guess you expect nothing less.
Mhm.
Never see these guys ever. This umpire was taking his mask off after every pitch, walking around. His ball or strike calls, if he called a ball that was borderline, he would take his mask off and take a couple steps toward the mound, make a face like, and say, like whatever.
It's
He
the
was
oddball.
personable,
The
but it was
oddball.
it was like the whole completely like I don't get to spell like it was unbelievable what was going on. And guys on our team, 5-minute arguments during the game, so many different arguments. Like everyone was arguing. It was a madhouse. The other team, they're obnoxious, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there's an obstruction call where a guy on the Pit Bulls goes out of their way and hits Figgy, our second baseman, on a ground ball over, like a little chopper over my head in the eighth
Yeah.
inning. And the guy makes contact with him. He winds up being safe at first because he took a second to make the play, and he calls him safe. They start having a conference, and these two idiots are conferencing, and we're like, why is it taking this long? And now I'm starting to get mad because the rain's coming down. The rain wouldn't have came down if they showed up on time, but of course they didn't. And it's the eighth inning, and it's a playoff game, up 3. And they say these umpires have heard it. They've heard it all game from everyone, and they make the call. They call safe, and I said, either that's effing bullshit. Oh, sorry, apologies. I said that's effing BS or get the F out of here, and toss me immediately. And listen, you can't be soft in the game of baseball.
Not at all. Not at all.
And,
Well,
and to top it off, he said to our catcher Dom, the home plate
Love
umpire
Dom.
said, I love Dom, great guy. Catches a great game. He said, I feel bad the pitcher got thrown out of a playoff game. I can't believe it. And Dom's like, yeah. And the guy says, yeah, I spoke to my partner. My partner said, I asked him why he threw the kid out of the game. He said, I did it for you. What is he? What is this? The Titanic? What is he? Romantic? What is going on?
it sounds like a very involved eighth inning. I'm sorry
my
to hear that
God.
you got ejected for the first time.
Unbelievable.
You hopefully you won, right?
No, we freaking
you lost.
blew-
You
they
lost.
call-
You lost the
This
game.
guy's strike zone. We lost by 1 run.
Hey,
This
it
guy's-
happens. It happens. Whoa, Deck. I don't want you to because we can do the full recap, but I want to know what Greg's doing, and we also got to get to the show.
Yes, we can't talk about this any longer. We can't talk about this any longer. You guys got a game tomorrow, so good luck.
Yes.
Greg, I
Thank
want to know
you.
how your vacation was as well.
Appreciate. Yeah, how was your 2
Uh,
weeks, bro?
2 weeks was great, man. Like Carl said, sometimes it's just good to decompress a bit. I went away, did some axe throwing. That was fun. Had some good eats in DC. Was scooting around the monument late at night. So it was fun times.
5 miles an hour, right?
Did you raid
No,
the
no, no. It was
Did you
10,
raid
but
the
it felt like
Capitol?
5. My wife was smoking me in scooter races all night.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. I'm glad. I was you guys did more. I was in DC the first week of the
Yeah.
vacation, and it was nice.
Wait,
I enjoyed it.
Steph,
I was only different.
didn't you go to Jamaica?
That was after DC.
Oh, okay.
I was getting to that. But yeah, no, DC was cool. I was only there for like 2 days. And then I spent 5 days in Jamaica, out in Montego Bay, went out to Negril, spent some time in Ocho Rios, um, jumped off a cliff at Rick's Cafe. It was like 30 feet. It was fun. It was scary.
Jumped off a cliff into the water. You have to.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, I'm alive.
Yeah,
So, like 30
seriously.
feet, 30 feet to the ground ain't gonna happen. I'm not, a superhero, kind of Power Ranger. But yeah, no, I jumped into the water. It was a lot of fun. Did Dunn's River Falls, beautiful, ATVing, like all the like cool excursions you want to do when you go on vacation. Did that, but also enjoyed some time at the beach. Resort was really nice. Yeah, my partner and I, we had a great time. It was a lot of fun. It was a great way to spend a vacation instead of like a staycation, which I feel like I usually do. So, and traveling again, that was like my first major travel out the country since the pandemic. So,
Shout out to you.
yeah, yeah,
It's a monumental trip.
it is. It
A
definitely
lot
was.
has happened in 2 weeks. Oh my god, the sports
We did a
world
lot.
has completely turned upside down in the last 2 weeks.
It has. And I mean, we're going to try to cover as much of it as we can in the time we do have. I want to start off from where we kind of left off, which was the NBA finals, right? Because we were at game 4 when we took our 2-week hiatus. And I think Deck, you and I predicted that games 5 and 6 would be, Suns winning at home, Bucks winning at home in game 6, and then it'd go to a game 7. Did not turn out that way at all. Because the Bucks pretty much steamrolled the Suns at that point. And Giannis, who, controversial figure, dropped 50 in game 6, gets the NBA Finals MVP. And you would expect after that, he has a chip now. He has a Finals MVP. Giannis is a great player. Not so much. The guy, I mean, critics will always be that, just critics, and there's always something to critique about a player. And our very own antagonist on our show here, Greg, he during our hiatus, if you weren't aware of it, he did a vlog talking about NBA fans. And Greg, I'll let you take it from there because I know you got some gripes that you want to get out, and this is the perfect platform for it.
Absolutely. Kind of like what I said in my vlog. NBA fans make me sick to my stomach. Y'all disgust me. Y'all are a disgrace.
Oh, wow.
Because the NBA, and I know Womack, Womack, you're supposed to be here, so we could do this face to face, but I don't know if you're ducking me like you are in the skills challenge. So, that might have to call you Donald, bro. So, and the NBA is truly the only sport where players win and still get ridiculed, a la LeBron James, Kevin Durant. Yep. Now Giannis is on that list, and it's really bad because it doesn't make sense. Like Womack hit me back with somebody said the Dodgers should have an asterisk on their World Series because it was a pandemic World Series. And then what was the other example I used? I forgot. Oh, the Chiefs, the Tom Brady should have asterisk. Okay. Those are one-offs. That's the minority. The majority of MLB and NFL fans are not talking about the Bucks and the Dodgers getting asterisks. The majority of NBA fans think Kevin Durant is a snake and think that his 2 rings don't equate to 1 ring like Giannis, which makes no sense because 1 can never be greater than 2 if we're all simple mathematicians here. But yet you have this widespread consensus that because KD, quote unquote, took the easiest way out, mind you, this is free agency. He did what was best for him in free agency. It's not like he
forced the trade or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. All of a sudden his rings are discredited and now he get Finals MVP, plus his 2 rings. And it doesn't mean as much because Giannis, quote unquote, didn't do it with a super team. Let me say this real clear. The NBA has never, ever in the history of the league been a league of parity, ever. So I really don't want to hear fans come on here and tell me that that these super teams were started by LeBron. Cut it out. kick rocks, go somewhere, get a better argument. And to finalize, when players in the MLB or the NFL go into free agency, they are not crucified for the teams they picked. The only time you really see that is when they go to team rivals, like when Jason Hayward went from the Cardinals to the Cubs. You saw some really nasty stuff. But outside of that, say Mike Trout or even Albert Pujols. Albert Pujols went to the Dodgers after an illustrious career with the Cardinals. What people do, they wished him luck. Even if, and gone are the days where guys get traded to the Yankees or sign with the Yankees and people get upset about it. Nobody was upset about Mark Teixeira signing with the Yankees and winning a World Series, or even A-Rod. And A-Rod was at the peak of his game, roids or no roids, was at the peak of his game leaving Texas.
No one took anything away from those teams when they won.
Exactly.
That's the biggest thing. I mean, getting sent there or getting traded there, one thing, or signing a free agency is another thing. But once they win, saying that the championship, the ring, the trophy doesn't mean as much. Yeah.
But I do think I agree with you for the most part here. But the one thing I'll say comparing the sports that makes it tough is that basketball is a different oriented game. One guy can take a team take LeBron or even a guy like Giannis, KD, whatever. One guy can take a team that is bottom 5 in league and bring them top 5 in league. In baseball, if the Yankees suck and they add Mark Teixeira and A-Rod, they're not all of a sudden going to be great.
They won a World Series.
They did because they were a good team as it was.
Yeah.
But you can't compare the two sports and say, oh, it's different.
But
you can compare the reactions, and I think that's a fair point.
What you can do, though, is because they're still team-oriented sports. As you could see in the finals, when the Bucks played as the better team, they won, even though they had the super. Same thing with LeBron. When LeBron didn't have Kyrie and K-Love, what happened?
Yeah.
They lost.
That's the point I was going to make.
Yeah.
Because you can focus on basketball, how you have superstars that can end up raising up a team and making the team better. When it comes down to the finals and you're going against the other best team in the league, your one superstar isn't going to carry the load. You still need your teammates. These are still team sports. That's what we have to look at the end of the day. They are team sports. So to say that, oh, you made a super team or you got together a collection of players that's better than the league or the top 10 in the league, you have like 2 or 3 of those players that are top 10, top 15, whatever it might be, in saying that there's no longer value in the trophy when they win it, it's foolish to me, especially when that is, there have always been, like, I shouldn't say always been super teams, but you've always had a superstar with their wingman or wingmen in cases where they need that support. You still need your star player to have supporting cast. You're not just going to have, the bench players or, the kind of like average player, below average player on the team that's going to make that team win. It just isn't the case. They're not going to play the whole game every game. So you still need to have that depth, just like Golden State had a great bench. That was the big reason Golden State was so much better than the rest of the league. Their second team could not be beat by any other team in the league. It was just, they were impressive. So I hear what you're saying, Greg. I agree with you. I don't think that there is much of an argument there when it comes to fans that get upset about Giannis and how he needs to improve his game. He's not good enough yet. I mean, his ring means nothing. The MVP doesn't mean anything.
He balled out. We had Skip Bayless on the Wednesday show talking about how Giannis needs to improve after winning a Finals MVP and going 35, 13, and 5.
He was almost perfect in the paint. He killed it in the paint. He did what he had to do. He didn't have to take shots from outside the paint because he dominated in the paint.
He made that adjustment.
Yeah.
He realized, hey, I'm not a wing. I'm a big. Let me play like a big and dominate.
You do what you do best. You don't have to be. I think the mistake is that we believe that our superstars need to be well-rounded. They need to be good at everything. You don't have to. If you're good at that one thing and you're better than the rest of the league at that one thing, or you're one of the best in the league, just do that. Why does your game have to change? Then your team, you can put pieces around you that are better at the things that you're deficient at. That's what the team sport is for. So that's where I stand on it. I don't understand the Giannis hate. I mean, I understand why people are doing it because
he's such a likable guy, though.
He is
a likable guy. There is nothing. You look at him. There's nothing you could say like, "Oh, Giannis is not a great guy." And I got Anthony Mullen in the comments saying, "One guy can't." What do you say? One guy can't change.
He's right.
Yeah. No, he's not right. Because what did the Cavs do when they were in the lottery to the championship when LeBron got there?
But they didn't win a championship until that team got better.
I didn't say that. I said a great player can take a team from bottom 5 to top 5.
Yes, but
Not true?
no, I agree with you. They
Huh.
can, but I'm saying winning it all
Yeah,
is
yeah,
not the
that's what
same.
we're
as
talking
taking
about.
it
Talking
But I didn't
five.
say that. I just said
Yeah.
one guy can take a team from the lottery.
Yeah, but that's not
Yeah.
what this was about, though. This was about winning championships.
Mhm. Yeah,
But
winning
I-
championships and getting the and you know the praise when you get the accolade that everyone is sought after, right? This accolade is sought after by everyone in the league. They want to be champions. Not everyone can be a champion.
NBA
So-
fans are the worst, though. Mickey Mouse championships, like
Yeah, I'm so here for Giannis's troll summer too. I love it.
I think it's great. But the one thing I will say though is I do find. All right, thank you, Anthony. It's my boy anyway. I do think, and I know you guys might disagree. I do think that the way Giannis got his ring, and he alluded to it himself in the press conferences, he said I could have went somewhere else, been a number 2 guy, or joined up with a bunch of superstars and won it all. I do think it's cool. I'm not going to say that it's good for the game or whatever. I just think it's cool to see a guy, and it's refreshing and rewarding to see a guy who got drafted there. You know, he came from the bottom and is on top and winning a championship. So that's how I see it. I do see that as more impressive as KD jumping ship and going to the guys that beat him. But that's just
So you just basically fell into the category of fans I was talking about.
borderline. No, I'm not like going to be.
He was trolling James Harden in those comments 100%.
Good for him. Good for
Because
him.
they have back and forth.
Yeah,
Little beef.
and Harden's wrong about that too. He's got something to say about Giannis. Again, who doesn't like Giannis? Well, I guess if
There's quite a few people.
fall to him, but apparently James Harden doesn't like Giannis. I'm not animated about KD did it the wrong way, Giannis did it the right way. I just think it's cool to see. I enjoyed it, even though I was rooting for the Suns. It was upsetting to see them lose, but if there was anyone they're going to lose to. I mean, Giannis is. Yeah, you can't be mad at the guy. I mean, he invites Monty Williams in to talk to the team after they've won. I don't know. That's just where I stand.
Yeah, I see that, and different team construction. I mean, there's a few different ways to win a championship, so there's not just one formula. But that was long ago. I want to talk about something that happened recently, which is the MLB trade deadline.
Yes, this is great.
By far, and everyone's saying this, and it's true. It was the best trade deadline in the history of the sport. It just there was so much happening. I mean, if you weren't glued to your phone, you missed out. Like every minute, there was just something going on. And you know, my Mets taking to the last hour, the 11th hour to do something. But we'll hold
Imagine
back from
waking
that.
up in a coma like from 2 weeks ago. Being a Cubs fan, like, I can't wait to go back to the stadium to see my 2016 guys. Oh, it's horrible.
Horrible, but also there's a lot to look forward to in the future.
Yes.
But there's so much that happened that I don't even feel like we can cover it all on our own. That is. So we have a special guest here today. I want to introduce Andrew Kahn. He's a contributor on the MLB Marathon. Good friend of ours. Plays in the same league as all of us. And
What team is he on?
he's on the Pirates.
Is he really?
Yeah.
No way.
But I'm gonna bring him in now and give us a little bit more insight on what's going on with this deadline, so we can honestly break it down, because there's a lot to discuss. Andrew, how you doing, my friend? Kahn, how you doing,
What's going
baby?
on, boys? I'm good. I'm good. What's going
What's
on?
up, AK? AK, if you could do me a favor, just flip your camera landscape.
Yeah, landscape.
Better?
What position does he play? I'm trying to remember.
up,
He's
hold
like
up.
one
all
game-
over.
Is it?
Mostly
Is it?
catcher.
Hold on. I think you might. Do you have like your screen lock by chance?
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
to go?
Yeah.
There we go.
Boom. Money. Boom shot. What's up, baby? Welcome to the show.
Not much. Thank you guys for having me. Long overdue, boys.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Definitely so. So real quick, I mean, there's obviously a lot to cover. I do want to start here, you know, in New York, since, you know, we had a lot of movement uptown in the Bronx, the Yankees. All right. So you have the acquisition of Joey Gallo, Anthony Rizzo. Those are the big splashes. And you would hope that, at least, you know, looking at it objectively, that the Yankees were also going to address pitching. I think all they got was Clay Holmes.
No, they got Andrew Heaney, who starts tonight.
Oh, I forgot Andrew Heaney.
That's right. That's
I'm
right.
honestly, you know what? I did forget, because it's Andrew Heaney, and it's
He's
like,
such a forgettable guy. He's such a forgettable guy.
but what did you see in those trades? What do you think about the acquisitions as far as making the Yankees a better team?
So Clay Holmes was a direct replacement for Sessa. We knew that was coming. As soon as they acquired Holmes, you knew they were going to free up some roster spots after that. Unfortunately, they had to move off some salary, so they attached Sessa to Justin Wilson.
Yeah.
The player to be named later for that, from what I've heard from a couple inside sources, is someone who was drafted this year by the Reds.
Okay. All right.
So there's a potential there to have a legitimate talent come back. It's most likely going to be a high school arm. They gave him a pool of, I think, 5 names to pick from.
Nice. So I mean, losing Sessa was like, that was the biggest part of that trade.
Like Sessa. I didn't think.
Yeah, I like Sessa a lot too. I think he's got good stuff. I think he has Loizaga potential to break out next year. And he was throwing well. His velo was up, his spin rates were up, his whiff rates were up. Across the board, he was great. But, unfortunately, the baby Brenners don't want to go over the
luxury tax.
But I like the move. Heaney, let's be honest, his ERA is ugly.
Yeah.
I have it here. It's 5+, but his Ks per 9 is 11. His whiff rates are the highest it's been in his career, and his spin rates, even with the crackdown, are still at that level that they were before the crackdown. So he's a guy that you can say his spin rates were elite, and he wasn't using the sticky stuff. I think, with the advanced metrics the way they are and how metrics forward the Yankees are, I think they found a guy who they want to potentially mold, and he's got some control. And, it's up to Matt Blake to kind of unleash that potential that was, that we saw from him in college.
I do feel like, though, he's a fly ball pitcher, right? If I'm not mistaken.
So he's weird in that respect. So his fastball leads to a lot of fly balls, but his curveball, people are hitting, I think, 179 against him this year, and everything's beat into the ground.
So the adjustment just needs to be made.
He does have a really good curve, too.
Yeah, he ranks top 10 in MLB in curveball spin rate, and he's actually in the top 1% of Q data for his curveball.
Chris, it's like John Neese, if you remember.
Yes, I do remember. I remember that.
Don't tell me that.
Oh, God.
You guys just acquired a John Neese. That's
John Neese was a dog, though. I appreciated him.
He was a bulldog, but gave up a lot of homers.
He did.
And so again, Deck, I don't know if you have any questions. You want to talk about your Yankees?
Yeah, I have a question.
Please.
I know this guy. What did you catch for the Pirates?
You're still stuck on this?
He is. He was trying to figure it out the whole time.
3.
It is 3? I don't know if it was you or someone else that said I had a nasty changeup.
He just wants the pat on the back, Con. Give it
no,
to
I
him.
don't. My changeup wasn't even that good then. But no. Anyway, yeah. I guess. Well, questions. I mean, I don't know. As much as like I would like to, pat the Yankees on the back, they got 2 great arms. It would have been 2 great bats. Excuse me. It would have been nice to get a pitcher. Did you see a scenario where it came away with Berrios or somebody without giving up so much? He could have gotten.
So yeah, a guy I spoke to who actually works in the Yankees front office, he said they made probably the best offer that Colorado got for Story and John Gray in a package deal.
Wow.
They were willing to move 4 to 5 prospects for Story and Gray. Why that never came to fruition, that's on the Rockies. Let's be honest. The Rockies fumbled the bag here, and they did a terrible job this deadline.
Are they inadequate? I mean, like, it doesn't even make sense.
The Rockies
that was my question.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine John Gray and Trevor Story. Like, before the deadline, if you told me that they were still going to be Rockies, I'd be like, you're stupid. There's no way that they're going to stay on that team.
Yeah. So I spoke to 3. I spoke to 3 teams who were invested in Gray. I spoke to another 2 teams who were invested in Story. What they got from, and this wasn't the day of the deadline, even before the deadline day, the 30th, the Rockies came back and told teams that we're not moving Story, Gray, Bard, or Marquez.
Wow.
So
those are all big pieces.
No one.
That's a huge haul.
They could have rebuilt their entire system
in the way that the Cubs did.
McMahon was available.
What blew my mind was Bard is a 38-year-old independent ball pitcher making a comeback who there's no future for Bard in Colorado. Let's be honest. He's 38. They need to rebuild. They should have shipped him off for a mid-level prospect like they did with Givens.
Yeah.
Givens, they got a decent arm back for. In regards to Marquez, I understand wanting to build around him. It looks like he's figured it out. He's an all-star. Gray's a free agent. Gray's not going to stay there. He's having the best year of his career. His slider is unhittable. They apparently want to offer him a 5 to 6 year deal from what I read. And then Trevor Story, not moving him was asinine. Story even came out and said he's shocked to still be a Rocky, and he thought he had no chance to be there.
Wow.
Probably upset too.
That's a level of ineptitude that you usually don't see in baseball.
They were the
I don't know. I
most
feel like
shocking deadline.
I mean, it's definitely shocking. I think you've seen it before in baseball. It happens for every sport, I would say. But I'm just surprised the Rockies because they haven't really made missteps, in the last decade. I would say when they had to make moves, they made moves, and
Yeah,
they
moved
drafted
off
pretty well.
Tulowitzki. They moved
Yeah,
off Nolan. They have drafted extremely
at the
well.
right time.
Yeah.
Their system is very strong.
Who's the second
they
base right
could've,
now?
Ryan McMahon.
Who's solid?
No. Who's the rookie though?
Brendan Rodgers.
Yes, Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah,
Yes,
Garrett
that's what I'm thinking
Hampson too, who's also
Hampson. Yeah, Hampson's legit too. Yeah,
I mean,
but the Rockies they baffled me. They had legitimate offers from my buddy who works in the Mets front office. He works in Sabres. He actually Pete Crow Armstrong was actually one of the guys they talked about in the Story and John Gray deal. So they could have had a team's top 5 prospect easily. It was handed to them on a platter, but everything I've read and everyone I spoke to, they want to offer Story the qualifying offer, try to extend Gray and recoup whatever picks when Story leaves, because I guess they value
draft picks more than like prime minor league talent.
It seems like a conservative approach, though, if you ask me.
Very
honestly.
conservative.
Yeah, very.
Well, you were talking Mets just before, and I wanted to ask that question because, I mean, I love Javier Baez. Obviously, he's a great bat for us to have, great defensively, but you pretty much just got depth with Trevor Williams, right? And they were kind of looking that way anyway, because who was it from the Pirates they wanted? Tyler Williams or Tyler
Anderson, correct.
Tyler Henderson, yeah.
Tyler Anderson. He went to the Phillies, yeah.
Yeah. So like you have players looking for depth, but I felt like the Mets needed to make a move for a legit starting pitcher and some bullpen arms, and it didn't happen. Yeah. So what did you hear about that? It sounds like they were looking to get John Gray, so they were in the market. Yeah. But what happened with that?
So I had before Baez was traded, I got a text an hour before saying Baez and Moore are coming to the Mets. From the same guy who told me about the Gray trade. And I told him, I said, okay, who's the and Moore? He said, well, we're trying to get Zach Davies. Davies didn't pan out. It was Trevor Williams.
Yeah. Interesting.
But at 3:55, I actually sent it around to my other group chat. I have a screenshot, text message saying, Mets buzzer beater, hold your shorts. I said, okay. So I tweeted it out with the site I work for, and at about 4:10, I texted my buddy saying, "Oh, where's the buzzer beater? My pants are still on." And he said, "Well, deal fell through." I said, "Who was it for?" They had a deal for Kenta Maeda and either Byron Buxton or Josh Donaldson. Done. The deal was done.
Oh,
that's nuts.
It was Maeda. It was Maeda. So it started with Maeda and Josh Donaldson, and it evolved to Maeda and Buxton.
Yo.
Okay, hold on.
Did I say that? Did I say that a couple months ago? I said Byron Buxton is a perfect fit for the Mets.
Hold on. Let's hold on. Let's con bomb. Let's take a second and absorb that, because that's a bombshell. You heard it here first on Smoke and Mirrors, because that wow. Whew, okay, so that was what they were going to get back. What were the Mets going to give potentially in this?
So, here's the thing. So the Mets had put out offers in 3 ways. It was Maeda alone, Maeda and Buxton, Maeda and Donaldson. It was Mauricio in the deal.
Makes sense.
Ginn. And then the big one was they wanted Dom Smith, and they wanted the Mets to cover every single dollar of any contracts.
Wow.
I would have made that deal.
Hold on. That's hefty. I mean, you said that real quick. You didn't even think about it.
No, I did
very quick.
I did it. Byron Buxton is greater than Dom Smith.
No.
I love Dom. Right. I love Dom. But
Dom Smith
Byron Buxton adds a whole nother dynamic.
Okay, hold on.
There's
real
also
quick.
a ton of more prospects you're giving up with
yes.
that. Like Steph thought that Pete Crow Armstrong was tough for a rental.
No. So I wasn't pissed off. What I said was you get a rental and you're giving away, a top prospect. It's you're looking to win this year. You don't just do that on a whim and like, oh, well, maybe next year. Or you have the hopes of re-signing Baez, but that's if Baez wants to play second base. If he wants to move forward playing second base for the Mets, which we don't know that. He likes playing with Lindor, which is why he came, but that does not mean that he'll stay and sign a long-term contract.
He should be.
So what?
In my opinion, because I just
what held up the Oh, I do agree with that. I do think Baez is better at third base than second base for the Mets
yeah.
because one, McNeil can't play third at all.
Totally.
Yeah.
And his arm's not there. And you know what? Even years ago, Baez was playing third when Chris Bryant was hurt. Chris Bryant went to the outfield. He also came out and said, right now, this team is better with Javi at third base.
Yeah.
I just think that would be dynamic enough for the position.
Yeah. But Baez at third base, I think, is the better fit long term.
Mm-hmm.
To go back to the Twins deal. So what fell through was the money issue. The Twins wanted to absorb $0 on any of those guys.
Yeah. That's
and
a lot.
Maeda has an affordable deal on face value. It's $3.5 million for the next 2 years, but his incentives are insane. It's a $6.5 million. So he gets $6.5 million for number of starts and another 3.5 for number of innings pitched. So he potentially is an $18 million pitcher for 2 years coming up.
Oh, wow. Shout out to his agent.
Yeah. Incentivize the deal.
If you break it down, you're looking at, they wanted the Mets to absorb about 50 million on Donaldson and another 40 million on Maeda.
Okay.
Yeah. I think with everything considered, your prospects giving away, a top player in Dom Smith, and you're taking on all that money.
Yeah.
So wait, it went sour because of the Mets, not because of the Twins.
So the Mets were okay taking on some money.
Okay.
They just didn't want to take on all of it. Because also Donaldson also has a 15% trade kicker to any team he's traded to. And he also has an incentive that if he's traded, another year is added to the deal at 16 million.
Wow.
Man.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the Mets were actively involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Mets were very active in trying to get pitching because they knew DeGrom's elbow was bothering him around noon.
Yeah.
So they spent the last 4 hours scouring hard for arms. They looked at Kyle Gibson. They looked at a lot of options.
I would have loved Kyle Gibson.
I would have liked Kyle Gibson. I don't know if I love Kyle Gibson. I mean, we have a better defense. Yeah, I don't love him in Philly.
I don't love him in Philly.
Defensively, it's not the right fit for him, although his first start was solid. Kyle Gibson's having the best year of his career, which is great. But I just don't love Kyle Gibson. I like him. And to me, he's like a, middle of the rotation kind of guy right now for you. Yeah. He's not the splash you want. He's better than a Trevor Williams for sure, but he's just not the splash that you want at the end of the trade deadline where you're like, did we get the guy we wanted? Because Kyle Gibson and who, right? Because we're probably not getting Baez then. I don't know if
the Phillies gave up Spencer Howard to get him. So
yeah, that was nuts.
The asking price.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it. Steph and I were in shock. Like, how did they
there were two trades that baffled me return wise. It was Gibson for Spencer Howard because that's an elite prospect, and the Cravens, but the Berrios deal. What Toronto gave up for Berrios was astounding.
For a rental, again, a rental, right?
A year and a half of him.
A year and a half.
A year and a half.
But still, even Jeff Passan said that's a lot for a year and a half.
Yeah,
that was Andrew. That brought me to my next question: is like the I guess I asked it already, but like I wanted Berrios, but the Yankees never had anything to give up that would have even and they're not giving up to me.
Yeah, so Austin Martin, according to a lot of guys I've spoken to, and JJ Cooper from Baseball America, who I actually exchanged some tweets with. JJ Cooper is my guy with prospects. If anyone wants to go to prospects with him, he's the guy. He ranked Austin Martin as the #1 overall player in last year's draft.
Wow.
And that's who the Jays gave up for a year and a half of Berrios, who, let's be honest, he's a guy who wants 150 million. He's not worth 150 million.
Like, I like Berrios, but I've always been obsessed with how good he can be. I mean, he hasn't reached his ceiling.
He has not by any means reached his ceiling.
It's in flashes.
Yeah.
I didn't think he should be on the waiver wire.
Inconsistency is definitely what I would consider Berrios.
I do think the Jays are kind of looking at this as, hey, we got to go for it now in this particular division we're in. We don't know if these prospects are going to be here in a year or two. We got our guys playing well right now. Potential MVP candidate. Our lineup breaks. Let's get this arm no matter what it takes. I think that's the approach they went with.
I'll always respect the all-in approach, especially because, a team like that, it's rare that they're in it. And their system is still stacked. They move Martin, who plays shortstop. They still have Orelvis and Groshans, who are monster
Jordan
prospects at short. Groshans an absolute stud.
You think it's a case where, like, how the Mets are probably going to trade Mauricio at some point because he's blocked by Lindor, and Dante Bichette has shown he can be an elite defensive major league shortstop.
Yeah,
I mean, not
20
Dante.
years
Yeah,
ago.
What is-
Bo,
No.
Bo,
20 years
Yeah,
ago.
Bo,
Boba Fett. Yeah. Show your age.
Bo, so there's two issues with the Jays, right? And the Rays face the same issue. Their 40-man. Oh, actually, the Yankees faced it too. I actually made a note about it. Their 40-man roster is so slammed that they're going to get smoked in the Rule 5 draft. And that's a big reason why you saw a team like the Yankees give up 4 prospects for Gallo, because it was
Yeah.
let's give up quantity over quality because we're going to lose these guys anyway.
Mm.
Yo, Badu was
Makes
in
sense.
the Rule 5, right?
Yes.
So that's the kind of talent that, I mean, it doesn't always go by the wayside.
For our listeners who don't know what the Rule 5 draft is, can you let them know what that is, Con?
Yeah. So the Rule 5 draft is you have your crop of 40 guys who are protected, who are under a certain amount of service time. You have your MLB contract guys plus your prospects. So it usually breaks down to about 30 and 10. 30 MLB guys, and then 8 to 10 minor leaguers who have aged out of their beginner of the rookie contract. So once you've aged out of that part of the contract, you have to be protected by the team in the Rule 5 draft. Sometimes you have guys like Albert Pujols who are left in the Rule 5 draft who end up being Hall of Famers. You know, you have it's just sometimes the roster crunch is so hard because the system is so deep and so good that they just have to make these kind of trades where they're giving up double the prospects in order not to lose them for anything.
Yeah, thank you for that explanation for those that didn't know. Greg, good call. So I don't want to get caught up because we haven't even mentioned one of the biggest trades of the deadline, which is Scherzer and Trey Turner. But my question to you was, because there was inklings that, you know, the Padres were looking to get Scherzer. I don't know if Turner was a part of that package, but what did you hear? What do you know about what happened in that situation? Was it just the haul that they were going to get back? The Nationals were going to get back?
So,
or was it also Scherzer saying he wanted to play for it because he could choose with his?
Yeah, so Scherzer gave Rizzo 3 locations: San Diego, San Fran, and the Dodgers. So he was going to NL West regardless.
Coast. Oh wow.
Yeah,
that
he
dude
wanted the
lives
West
for the
Coast no
intensity.
matter what. So AJ Preller. So what came out? Let's timeline wise, right? It came out. Dodgers were close. AJ Preller came out this morning and said they were never close. They never spoke money, and they only spoke 1 or 2 players. It was Max, and I think the Nats asked for Gore, who was untouchable.
Yeah,
and I believe CJ Abrams was the other guy, infielder.
Wow. Yeah, they were going to get their top prospects.
Yikes.
Yeah. So Preller said that they had a framework, but they never got close enough to what the reports were. So it seems like the reports were a little exaggerated, but it could be a smokescreen for Preller to save face.
Yeah, I can see that.
Everything I've spoke
true.
to guys from was that they legitimately exchanged names, but Preller was hesitant to give up both Gore and Abrams because the Padres pitching for the future is very leery with, you know, Lamet's elbow is always blowing up. Clevenger is a Tommy John guy. Snell is a guy whose elbow is blown up. So I think the fact that he was scared to give up the extra arm and Gore is where it fell apart. But I also think how the Nats leveraged that deal was that they said, hey, we're going to send him to San Diego if you don't give us your top 2 prospects.
Wow.
So
that's
a lot of leverage.
Amazing leverage.
A lot of
leverage. A hell of a lot of leverage.
And I know for sure Trey Turner was not in the San Diego talks. That was never
that
never even.
That would make sense unless you're gonna. Put
It makes sense for sure.
Yeah.
But that could be the potential for the Dodgers. Even like he has the ability too. So, I mean, if they needed to,
he played center field his rookie year, like never full time, but kind of like how Mookie did.
He played center field
in college.
Yeah. I think this trade is the first sign that Corey Seager is not long for LA. I think he's gone in free agency, and I think the boys in the Bronx are a front runner for Corey Seager.
Really?
I like this guy even more.
Yeah.
Look at this. Look at this guy's lighting up.
Keep telling me more.
I think
and Bellinger too.
I'd bet good money that you see either Story or Seager playing shortstop for the Yankees next year.
Whoa.
I think he needs to go off camera and change a little bit. He has to change up, and I understand Deck. That's how I felt about the potential of seeing Buxton.
Great.
I do want to shout out one of our longtime watchers, listeners, Alberto. He did mention when we were talking about Javier Baez, he's saying that you want your best players up the middle. which is true. That is very true. You want to have your best infielders, shortstop, second base. So to see him at third base,
even center field and catcher too.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
the
the
middle
middle.
is
Yeah.
the most important
So-
part of it.
So I do have one counterpoint to that because I've heard people talk about that.
Yeah.
The Mets are second in the MLB in shifts this year. Their third baseman has played the most in the shortstop position of any team in MLB right now.
And that works. when
It's
the
kind
top-
of wild how Di Sarcina has them shifting.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
So
incredible.
often.
I don't know if you guys have been to a game yet at Citi Field.
Yes,
See how
yes, we witnessed it. It was
If you watch how he moves and his hand motions
Mhm.
from the dugout, it's insane. It's like an orchestra.
It is. I mean, we even Steph and I were at a game against the Padres, and we had a intense conversation about some of their shifts and in certain counts and how they move.
counts. Yes.
It baffled us, but
Yeah.
Mhm.
it's been getting the job done.
I want to
So
go to a
they've-
ball game
they've-
with you guys. Jesus.
They've taken it to another level where a lot of teams will move one strike counts, zero strike counts, and the Mets have taken it to the point where they shift in every single count now.
Yeah.
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 That was what
Every
we
single
noticed. It
count.
was very interesting to see that. Like depending on what the count was, there was a shift ready for how
Yeah.
that particular hitter would adjust to certain pitches, which is
Yeah.
ridiculous to me because I mean there's analytics and then there's like that honed in, very focused version of analytics where you're like,
I
we're
mean-
gonna break it down from pitch to pitch in the count that we're gonna shift.
They have gone from a bottom 5 defense to a top 6 defense just on shifts.
yeah.
It's incredible what they've done.
Well, that's what Cohen did say when he's coming in. They want to focus on analytics, and you're seeing that play out. And to his credit, it's been beneficial for them because they've been an awful defense for the longest time. And
Mhm.
here we are, we have a better defense, and our pitchers
Well,
are benefiting from it.
Perfect example. Brandon Nimmo ranked 31st last year in center field defense. He's currently ranked in the top 5 just on positioning alone.
Yeah,
It makes such a
Conforto
big
also.
difference.
Conforto's another one too. He's having a great season defensively.
Yes.
He's got like diving catches every week. And
Every
Outfield
week.
assists
Every week.
there's something. Oh,
Yeah.
and he's throwing guys out for the win. Like he's
Yeah.
got to. You might have to re-sign him.
I-
It could be interesting to see.
A lot of traditional
Ah.
fans hate the shift. And
Yeah.
what I try to tell fans about that is you got to realize that the shift is not about ruining baseball. It's about defensive strategy. And until you see your team save runs because of the shift, you're probably not going to be into
Yeah.
it. You know?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's pitchers love it until they give up the bleeding single. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah,
Ground ball
where-
to shortstop to end the no.
yeah.
I love seeing
Greg-
Max
Greg-
Scherzer yelling his head off in the 6th inning. when someone
Greg
said-
and Steph can attest to this, man. You guys know where I hit the ball. I hit the ball against the shift. I spray the ball to right field all the time. Greg knows
Mhm.
this. People, you just have to learn how to do it. You just have to
Yeah.
learn how to go the opposite
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. And that's why and somebody said, it sucks for the hitters. I said, no, the hitters have the capability at this level to hit the ball where
Yeah.
they need to. They just choose not to. And at that point, they're
Exactly.
making an active choice.
100%.
I'm
100%.
sorry, Con. I thought there was something you wanted to say before Greg went. I think there's a point.
What was I going to bring
Because
up?
if
I
I'm
don't
not
know.
mistaken, before you went on your shift tangent, we were talking about analytics and the Mets.
Oh, actually,
Sabres and
Conforto. It was
Yeah,
Conforto. So,
Conforto, yes.
so there's
Thank you.
so
was what Dex said.
Conforto's money's going to Baez. You could
I
Put that in stone.
believe
Yeah,
it.
I want as soon as you said it, I'm like, yes.
I legit said that this morning that Conforto is not going to live up
He's
to whatever he's
batting under the Mendoza line right now.
194.
Defensively, he's been a lot better, but he's been too inconsistent in his career as a Met, right? As a highly touted prospect to deserve the money that he wants.
Wasn't he a top 10 pick?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
I think so.
10th
Yeah.
overall in 2014. I want to say.
Yeah, out of Oregon State.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I
And if-
spoke to I do part-time gigs with Stroman's company. We had a clinic last week. Tim Ryder was there, and Tim Ryder was working on a piece breaking down Conforto's season from 2019 to 2020 to 2021. He has never put together a stretch like he did last year. Last year was his career year, and this year he is batting. It's a wild stat. On fastballs down the middle, he is hitting 150 points lower than league average.
Wow.
Down the middle,
That's bad.
dead red.
Wow.
That's
He is
bad.
missing pitches on a tee.
Could it
And
be,
it's crazy you say that.
it's crazy, but could it be an eye thing? Maybe like
People are
LASIK?
blaming his hamstring. They're blaming this, but he's an inconsistent player.
I think it's his head. It's in his head too. It's a contract
he's
year.
He's a mental guy. And also, you got to remember, he turned down a big extension 2 years ago.
Yeah.
The Mets were willing to
probably
extend him.
kicking
And,
himself now.
who's really Scott Boras. He's a Boras guy.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Do you ever see a scenario where he signs a 1-year deal with the Mets? And
So I'm fairly certain they're going to offer him the qualifying offer.
Yeah, as they should.
that's what I'm saying. Like that qualifying offer that Stroman's on right now. Do you see that?
Yeah, I mean, if he's smart, he would take it. But there's always one crazy team out there who's going to offer him $100 million, whether it's the Texas Rangers or the Rock. Someone will offer him $100 million. And Boras will push him to take it. It's just a matter of if he goes back against Boras or not.
Yeah.
If he's smart, you might want to bet on yourself for a year because we've seen a lot of guys bet on themselves recently and end up with monster deals afterwards. But
I think
everything I've heard is that they gave up PCA in order to get Baez because they knew that Baez is the guy they could resign.
Yeah, that's what I heard as well.
Oh, you have sources. I'm about to say you have sources.
Andrew's my source. That's where I heard it from.
Makes sense. So I do want to get into a few more trades. I mean, we talked about the Dodgers. I do want to talk about the Padres because acquiring Adam Frazier was a big get for them. But as far as keeping pace with the Dodgers and really the Giants, which we'll get to a little later, not enough, honestly, in my opinion. But what did you think of that haul? What they gave up? Because there's a lot of prospects that were given in that trade. Adam Frazier is, and especially looking at where Fernando Tatis is right now, which he's a question mark for that team.
He could be out for the year right now.
He could be potentially. He could have surgery. If he doesn't, then
he's seen this before though. I'm optimistic, cautiously optimistic that he can come back.
But what do you think of that move and the implications of it for that divisional race right there?
Yeah. So first I want to get into Tatis. He subluxed his shoulder again.
Yeah. I saw the
I'm
slide.
fairly certain. Yeah, it's so that shoulder issue is one that's going to happen the rest of the season. No matter how much he plays, what he does, he's stuck with that until he gets surgery in the offseason. That's not going to get better, which makes the Frazier move even bigger for them. Let's say they didn't get Frazier, they'd be stuck playing Kim at shortstop most likely. Who
I love Kim.
Don't get me wrong.
His bat is
offensively,
Don't get me wrong. Kim, his xWAR is actually higher than Hosmer's. So that shows how big his defense is for them.
Yeah.
But the Batman Tatis
is a different level.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tatis is he's absurd. He's a freak. But I do think that they needed to get more. I think that they were 5.5 back on the 31st of the Giants, I believe.
Yeah.
I think it's 6.5.
6.5. Okay. So
it's 6.5 right now.
That's still a decent amount of ground to move up. And when you see that the Dodgers haven't been healthy, let's be honest.
Yeah.
They haven't been healthy. Mookie's been hurt. Cody's been hurt. Kershaw's been hurt. They
got two back. Bauer's gone, but they do have Mookie back and they do have Seager back. So a little healthier now.
I think Turner's banged up too. So I think that they should have gone out and either got Gallo, especially for the price that was paid.
Yeah.
Or you go out and they were talking about Berrios, but I understand why they didn't go for Berrios because that price was outrageous. But I still think they needed something, man. They're top to bottom, they're so good, but with what the Dodgers did, you hate to be reactionary and you hate to make a move based on someone else's. Yeah. But at the end of the day, let's be honest, that's what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You're making moves based on the rest of the division.
Because you have to improve your team based on what the division is doing.
And we can't forget the Giants got Chris Bryant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they did. And
Chris Bryant is arguably the best player traded at the deadline. So it's
he hasn't his season has not been what you would expect from Chris Bryant. It seems more like the 2020 season, but the talent is there, and that he still has the ability to be that player.
Not only that, his defensive versatility is going to be
another
huge.
thing. Yep, agreed.
He's slumped since he hurt his hammy. I think he's hitting 249 in the last 6 weeks, which coincides with the hammy issue. It's the back leg on his push off. So if he gets healthy, man, that's especially with Longoria on the DL for San Fran. That's a monster guy to add into that mix.
Absolutely.
That was a good move.
I was going to say one move that was underrated in my mind was the Dodgers getting Dan Duffy. because this
Yeah.
is a guy that in the playoffs was coming out of the pen and doing work for the Royals, and he can do the same thing for the Dodgers. He doesn't have to be in the rotation, but come playoff time, he's going to be a pivotal piece as giving them like those stretch innings that they might need.
For
that
me,
flew under the radar.
yeah, it definitely did. For me, probably one of the biggest moves. It doesn't have immediate implications, but it 100% has playoff implications. That was the Chicago White Sox
Nelson
getting
Cruz?
Craig Kimbrell.
Yes,
That was huge.
Oh my, that was one of the top
was
3
silly.
moves. The rich got richer with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
The
was
bullpen is
insane.
ridiculous. out
I
there.
didn't see that. Like, I know people were talking about Kimbrell going to the Mets, Kimbrell going to the Dodgers, maybe
Oh,
the Padres.
Besides Kimbrel, they got Ryan Tepera from the Cubs also.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
So I have a buddy.
I didn't even hear that.
Yeah.
So I have a buddy.
And have
I still play ball with him now. His name is Mike Bowling. He works with the Cubs front office. He texted me a couple days prior and said Tepera is going to the White Sox. There might be a bigger deal. So Tepera went to the White Sox literally a day after that, and then the day after that, Kimbrel went. So they can roll out Tepera, Kimbrel, Hendricks, Kopech, Crochet, Bummer, and then in the playoffs you put Cease into the bullpen. It was another 100-mile-an-hour guy.
Yeah.
Their starters only have to go 5 innings between Giolito, Lynn, Keuchel, and Rodon.
And Luis Roberts is on the way back in about a week or so. And they said
That's
he's doing
They also got Cesar Hernandez.
Yes, they did.
It's another one.
Another underrated trade like that just helps them defensively and for the depth.
They're absolutely
Scary.
stacked. Their only issue is they have to win despite their manager.
Yeah.
It's the only issue.
God. He's a detriment to that team. Like,
That was by far one of the worst hires in the
makes
last
no
10
sense.
years.
It makes no sense. Like, and first of all, Greg, you and I were on the same boat on vacation. I didn't realize that Cesar Hernandez got traded there either. It's okay. But it's cool. But Tony La Russa, and I've said this before, it just makes no sense. Every time I see Buck Showalter on a Yes Network broadcast in the booth, I just keep thinking of how good he would look in the City Connect jerseys for the White Sox. If they wanted to make a anti-sabermetrics move since Rick Renteria, I guess, blew the whole wild card series against the A's last year, the guy to get would have been Buck. Or you go with the younger manager like that you want to use as a puppet. I thought Buck would have fit in great. I don't hate the idea that they went anti-sabermetrics in that regard, but they got to go with Buck. I mean, Tony La Russa, like there were guys in the Hall of Fame that said they were disgusted and appalled that he came back because he was already in the Hall of Fame. I mean, a 76-year-old guy. I mean, you're in Mercedes.
On top of that,
retired.
he was in legal trouble as they hired him.
Yes, he was.
Wise everything.
That's a head scratcher.
Who I am card.
That White Sox team is so loaded, man. To me, they're the favorite to win the AL. They're top to bottom. They're insane.
It's why they could get rid of a Nick Madrigal, who was one of their best hitters before he got hurt.
I mean, done for the year
That's
though.
a beat.
They're still doing well without him. And if we're being honest, if they're trying to do it this year, moving a piece like that makes sense. He wasn't going to help them this year, but he's an amazing player. And I want to shout out Manny. Yeah, I want to shout out Manny. Well, I don't have the question. I just saw Manny that he mentioned Eloy's back, which is true.
Yeah.
All of the players, the hitters that are going to be like the big factors come the final stretch and in the playoffs, they're coming back and they're getting healthy at the right time.
Manny said 2 things. AK, I didn't know if you were going into a tangent there. I was hesitant to bring it up, but Manny said 2 things. He said Tony Pena should have been the manager. I don't have a problem with that. He said, a question for Andrew: will Carlos Beltran be a manager in the MLB?
All right.
Let's get into it.
All right. So should he and will he? That's what I break it down to.
Yeah.
Should he? Should have a job already.
Totally.
If Alex Cora was brought back so soon, Carlos Beltran should as well. Will he? His name's due on the Hall of Fame ballot next year. That vote will be a big factor into determining if he'll get another job. If there's a solid percentage and solid turnout for him, I think he will get a job. If you see him, with a really low percentage, then you could kind of surmise what the feeling is around him in the game.
That's a great.
He's absolutely a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what anyone says. He's a Hall of Famer.
Agreed.
He would be an incredible manager.
I agree. I still want him over Rojas.
I'm gonna drop a bomb. I want Aaron Boone if he gets. First of all, I wanted Carlos Beltran in 17. Listen, I know he had something to do with the cheating scandal, but I'm just going to accept the fact that cheating goes on in baseball, and it's Carlos Beltran. Who has ever? Hold on, one second.
Hold on.
Get into it 1 second. I just got to say
there.
No. I just got to say one thing. Who has ever said anything bad about Carlos Beltran before that? Great guy. I want him to be the manager of the Yankees next year. I know it's insane.
We cannot just skate on that.
You can't. You can't. We've talked about cheating and the Yankees and the Astros, and you have been very
There's
adamant.
different levels.
As soon as it came to the Yankees being impacted by a player or a coach that cheated, it was like, you know what? I can forgive it. As long as he's a Yankee, I can forgive it.
I can forgive.
That's such a homer stance.
Alex Cora, I can't forgive. That's only because he's a Red Sox.
Well, because he's the Yankees.
Man, Garrison.
I think.
go ahead, Andrew.
I think we can all agree that Beltran would be a rock star manager wherever he's at.
Yeah,
I think he'd be a great tool to use to get players to come to a team as well. You know, how many of these guys out there idolize Beltran? True. You know, there are so many players in the game right now who idolize Beltran.
Especially the Latin ball players.
And I'm not moonwalking.
You absolutely are.
No. Just listen to me. I'm just saying this. The players didn't get any punishment. Carlos Beltran was not a coach on that team. He was a player. So why should he be punished for something that I know he was a player? No other player got any punishment whatsoever for what went down in 20.
Wasn't Beltran a part of like orchestrating it though? Like,
yes, he was.
So wasn't that he was just
allegedly.
a player? Not allegedly.
Now it's allegedly.
No, he totally is. I'm just asking. Is it allegedly?
It is. Yeah, it was a fact.
Okay.
Yeah, he helped implement that at the end for the organization. So it wasn't like Carlos Beltran was just hanging out like, oh, let's do this thing. He was like, this is how we do this thing.
Right.
Can I be honest?
My thing is this: he got punished. Cora has a job. Hinch has a job. None of the players were suspended. Why should he be the outlier that gets, ostracized and
I agree with you. It's just your energy when it comes to cheating is different. Ironic.
Yes, I understand. But I would like him to be the manager because I think at this point nobody else has gotten punished the way he is. I think he's gotten hurt the most out of this.
I agree with you.
He was the scapegoat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally.
Yes.
But that's my point. And I think if everyone
is that your point? I think your point is 100%. That your point is that you'll take a cheater if it helps the Yankees. That's what your point is. Well, but I don't want to get hung up on that because that's for another day. We have Khan here and he's been killing it with the facts. I wanted to make mention of, I mean, to me, it was underrated only because it kind of flew under the radar. But Nelson Cruz going to the Rays, especially seeing how they're like first place right now. And you have the Red Sox team that got marginally better against Schwarber. And who was the arm they got?
I like the Schwarber.
Hansel Robles.
Yeah, Robles. Yes.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Remember him.
Former Met.
Let me tell you something. Hansel Robles will blow every big game with less than 3-run lead.
Hansel Robles. The first time I saw him pitch. The first time I ever got a baseball at a baseball game was because I was sitting close, got tickets. Hansel Robles on brand threw a ball to the backstop, hit the brick wall at Citi Field. The umpire threw it to the ball boy because he can't use it anymore. And he threw it to me. So if Hansel Robles had control, I wouldn't have been a happy kid that day. So
I'm happy you got a baseball from him. But what I will say is, as a Met, he was not great. He was inconsistent. But as an Angel, he did do well, and he did close for them. And he got traded from the Twins to the Red Sox. Yeah. So I think that's a great acquisition for them. But Nelson Cruz, to me, was a huge get for the Rays at the deadline that, they gave up what they needed to give up to get him. And I think he's going to be a difference maker for them. So that's another big one that I saw that kind of, again, flew under the radar.
I have a semi bomb. They were inches away from getting Chris Bryant.
Thank God they didn't. This is great.
So, and you're gonna laugh at my source. It's actually hilarious. Kevin Kiermaier's brother is the heads grounds crew for the Cubs.
Wow.
So my buddy Mike, who works for the Cubs, was talking to Kiermaier's brother, and Kiermaier's brother said that there was a possibility that it was going to be Chris Bryant for Kiermaier to offset some of the money and 2 pitching prospects. That was a deal that was almost done.
Could Honeywell have been involved in this, or is
Honeywell?
It was Shane Baz as the main pitching guy.
He's one of the top prospects.
He's a monster. Yeah, he's pitching in the Olympics right now.
Can we talk
Nice.
about how the grounds crew is in on the inner workings of the front office?
If you're there long
Yeah,
enough,
right.
that connects. People
I
talk.
love
But
that.
I don't know if it's necessarily the grounds crew. He was probably talking to his brother too.
He said he's
Yeah.
the head of the grounds crew.
yeah.
It's
but
Kiermaier's brother. Kiermaier's brother.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kiermaier's
I don't think
brother.
it is. I don't think he's doing the YMCA in the 7th inning and then sitting in a front office meeting. I think he just found out from his brother. That he-
Possible.
he might be-
Maybe
But it's so
potentially.
ironic.
But
Can you imagine?
going back to Cruz though, that's a monster ad. A guy who's a playoff proven bat for a team that
Mhm.
needed a right-handed bat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they needed a designated
Big power
hitter
bat.
too. Like, because they were kind of going. I think Yandy Diaz might have been DHing here. and there.
Diaz, a little G-Man Choi, they're mixing it in, and let's
Love
be honest,
G-Man.
Wander hasn't been Wander.
No,
He
He's
hasn't
not.
lived up to the billing.
Similar to
And he's a
outside
guy
of that
there-
first game, it's been kind of
Kelvin.
sus.
You got to wonder what's going on there, but
I will say
It wouldn't be if we didn't get one of those.
there's
it's been 3 weeks or whatever.
there's one team that I honestly cannot stand how much they revamped after this devastating injury, and
I
that
know where you're
is the
going.
Atlanta Braves.
I knew you can say Braves. I knew you were gonna say Braves. I
I-
had them up next.
I
I queued
felt-
them up next.
Felt
I
it.
felt like, given the Acuna Jr. injury, they had to work fast because technically they're still in contention. You know,
Yes.
Yeah.
and
Anyone
they're,
in the,
they're right
except for the
there.
Marlins is in contention.
They're right
And the
there.
Nationals, now they
And
got rid of everyone.
Them getting Rich Rodriguez from the
Close enough.
Pirates really
Pirates.
upset me because
Oh,
I
with
felt
2
like
minutes left in the deadline.
I
2
felt like
minutes.
if he was
Buzzer
on the
beater.
block, the Mets could have made that move. And they
Mhm.
didn't. And that is going to come back to bite us because he was solid on a bad team.
Yes. Rich
Yeah.
Rodriguez is legit. He is a guy who can be a dominant closer. Does he need a third pitch? Sure. Who doesn't need a third pitch as a closer?
He's a
But
bridge
he
right
is-
now, though.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, Will
their
Smith.
bullpen's nasty.
Yeah.
They have Minter, they have Matzik, they have Rodriguez, they have Smith. Their bullpen's nasty.
I need
They
all
go
of them.
4 or 5 deep in the pen.
Yeah, I don't need that. We don't need that.
No,
Yeah,
not
no.
necessarily. I mean,
And
Manny's
it's crazy.
awesome.
They grabbed a bunch of outfielders, which I thought was a bit
Yes.
of an overrated move. A
it
little.
was a
overrated, I
lot. It
thought.
was a
I
lot.
agree. People
Duval,
got really excited for
Rosario,
Josh Peterson.
Soler.
Like Soler is hitting
Doc Peterson.
192.
Yeah.
I
he
felt
does
like
some
so.
fun-
Are they starting him or is he coming off the bench?
Gotta
I
be
think
better.
that matters.
They're mixing and matching. They have 5 outfielders and they're going matchups every day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lefty
Is
righty.
Soler on a contract year, or is he?
Soler's on a contract year
Okay.
and he's murdering his value.
If they re-sign, oh my god, this is
A la
a
Conforto.
guy who's got 40
Yeah.
home. Didn't he lead the league in at least the AL in home runs like 2 years ago? Maybe.
Yeah, he was
Power-
a 40 homer guy.
Power isn't a
Oh my
question
God.
for Soler, though. It's really just hitting consistently. He just doesn't
His swing and miss rate
Strikes
is
out a lot.
crazy.
because he's all
Oh
or
my God.
nothing.
But he's been a
He-
lot of nothing. I not to.
It's-
I mean, 190 something. Yeah.
Yeah, he was at 192 at the trade. Jock has been incredible since he got moved. I can't even.
Yeah.
I thought that move was going to be okay, but he's batting
Same.
330 something.
I'm with you on that one. I didn't-
Duval's another guy who he's familiar with Atlanta. They know what they're going to get from him. He's good, serviceable. He'll get a couple big hits, especially against the Mets.
Yeah.
And then underrated, Eddie. I love
Eddie Rosario. Yeah.
That is so. Eddie
That's a
Rosario,
really-
ever since he's come up, has always
Stud.
hit. Always hit.
Yeah.
He's never
on.
not hit. He's just.
Can-
What you said?
No. I just want to say, if we're talking about trades, that they gave up the least to get back the most because
Pablo Sandoval.
Sandoval straight up for Eddie Rosario seemed like you took fair trades off in the show, and then you get Eddie Rosario for Pablo
Yeah,
Sandoval.
that was like a
Straight.
forced trade.
It was a straight salary dump.
Yeah.
Straight salary dump.
They must have had something.
Like, I-
No one
As
else
a-
wanted Rosario.
As a Met fan, the moves they made, I think, put them in a position without the Mets having DeGrom in August to make a run, and I don't like that.
The Mets actually have the hardest August schedule in MLB.
Yeah, I just saw
Ju-
it. It's
yeah.
rough.
That's
It was
nice
just
to
put in
hear.
our group chat.
It was.
Yeah, the
it's
highest.
rough.
They have the highest win percentage against for August.
And I'm gonna need them to take the training wheels off of Cookie.
So
That's hard. It's hard to
he-
do
he's
that
pitched
though. That
4
you
innings,
need to
dude.
keep those
I
training
don't
wheels
know.
on because if he gets hurt, then what good is he? You need to
That's
just
true.
kind of baby him back.
I just feel like we have a stretch now where we have, I think, 13 games against the Marlins, the Phillies, and the Nats, where we have to win at least 7 or 8 of those games.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you,
but
you
So
got to win
two-
those
two
series.
David, as a
things-
Mets
two
fan
things
who's
to
seen
watch.
everyone go down in the pitching rotation, It's so tough to bring them back. He just pitched 4 innings, and he's also like what is he 34? Like he's not young.
Yeah,
34 is
two,
young.
two,
Stop it.
two things.
Stop it.
Two things to watch for
Sorry,
Cookie.
Greg. My
Yeah.
apologies.
No,
I'm
you're
listening.
saying AK.
It's young and MSP.
Two things to watch for the Mets pitching right now is you're probably gonna have Trevor Williams piggyback Cookie,
Mhm.
and the second thing is this one sucks. And Greg, you're not gonna like to hear this. Miguel's innings limits are coming.
Oh,
Who? What do you say?
Tyler McGill.
Tyler Miguel.
Oh,
Yeah.
He's been
Jesus
great.
Yeah.
Christ.
His innings limits are
He's been-
coming. They're coming soon.
Oh,
And
so who's
it
the
makes sense.
replacement?
Morris, his agent.
Is it a replacement, or is just you're gonna end up having him go 3 or 4
Bullpen
innings? And
days?
then, yeah, bullpen him.
It's gonna be if Cookie's okay, then you piggyback Trevor with Miguel.
Mm,
That's so weird.
It sucks, and
the future.
here's
of
the thing.
baseball.
Also, Miguel was rushed as well. He was
Yeah.
a guy who wasn't considered to be in Double A this year. He just was shoving all year.
Outperformed.
So they said let's try it.
His ETA
So
was
he-
2022 or 2023.
22 in September, 23 opening day.
Mm.
So he was kind of rushed, and
He's
I'm
leaving
hoping
out
that- I'm hoping he's a guy who it seems by all accounts he wants to push past it, but it's
Yeah.
going to come down to what they want to do, and they're going to have to hope that someone gets put on waivers that they can claim.
I was just about to say that to me, the Mets not getting a bullpen arm during the trade deadline is now coming up to waivers. Like you need to try and grab someone in waivers to strengthen.
Yeah, I 100% agree. They've got 30 days until waivers, and there are teams who are going to be forced, like the Rays, to release guys. So,
and the Mets have to be active. They have to do their best. So
Yeah.
we are. Con, this has been great. I just want to say thank you right now for coming on, and for everyone watching and listening. You're welcome. This has been golden. He's given more than all of us probably know. So
there were definitely some con bombs dropped in here.
Yeah,
Shout out to
con bomb.
Declan.
I've never seen someone with the Pirates have so much knowledge on the Cubs.
Funny. But I just also want to shout out. So you contribute for the MLB marathon, correct?
Yeah. So MLB marathon, and in recent weeks, I worked at NBC Sports and NPR and MLB Network for Kumar Rocker stuff. But
which
my
we
main
want to
side
transition to. That's a great segue. Thank you so much. But yeah, I'm happy. We should have started with that, by the way. But thank you for letting us know and letting the fans know. But with regards to Kumar Rocker, we all know now because the deadline has passed, the Mets did not sign him. And they gave the reasons why. They released the reasons why, saying that his arm injury was much worse than just Tommy John, and it wasn't about money. And even Cohen coming out and saying that, a draft pick in that position is values worth 5 times more. There's no way I wouldn't make that investment if that's the case. What do you know? What information can you give us that hasn't maybe been publicized? And even if it has been, giving us a little bit more detail about it.
Yeah. So I'll start with context. I have a relationship with his mother. Going back 2 years ago, I had tweeted after his no-hitter against Duke, and I mentioned how it was great to see, an Indian American on there. She replied to the tweet. We've been exchanging messages over the last 2 years. So I've had interaction with the mother and the younger brother, Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
So great family, by the way. They're rock stars. They're supportive. They're awesome. The dad's actually a former NFL player. So I gained a little more access to Kumar based on a tweet I put out that went viral, and NBC hit me up, and MLB Network, and a couple other sites. So I got some inner workings that way. So first, here's another bomb, I guess. I don't know. The Rockies were going to take him at 8.
Really?
The Rockies called him and said they were taking him at 8, and he said he pulled an MLB loophole. So there's a draft loophole that if a team took you in a previous draft and you didn't sign with them, and they're about to take you in the next year draft, you can veto the draft pick.
Oh, wow.
That's
Did
sick.
not know that. That is
Yeah.
insane.
So they took Rocker out of high school in the 30th round, I believe, and he didn't sign. And they were going to take him at 8, and he said, I'm vetoing it, and I'm taking my chances elsewhere.
Wow.
So
So
now,
that's
Mets fans, congratulations! You guys know that you hopefully
Hold on.
on getting this guy. This guy's a genius.
What
He
what
just-
is and the reason for that was that he didn't want to go to the Rockies, or did he have indication he was going to go somewhere else?
So from what everyone seems to think is that he was waiting to go to a bigger market team like the Mets.
Gotcha.
Mm.
Okay.
So before the draft,
before that.
they had a $6 million agreement.
Mhm.
The agreement was $6 million, which is 1.5 over slot. But a lot of people also didn't know. The Mets knew, but fans didn't know that he skipped the MLB MRI combine.
Mhm.
He never did the MRI combine, and he wouldn't release any medical results from his end.
Scott Boras sounds like that's something he would do.
Yes. So when the Mets said, "Okay, you're coming to Citi Field," what was it, a week and a half ago, to do your physical, they red flagged his elbow. Wasn't his shoulder; it was his elbow.
Ooh.
Mm,
That's
red flag the elbow.
way worse than your shoulder.
yeah.
So yeah, their doctors said that his elbow was damaged. From what I heard from a source, that it was Tanaka-like with the tear that he had.
Mm.
Wow.
So good enough to pitch through.
Yeah, which
but
is what he did.
eventually- Right, which is what he did for a year. And Boris's argument was that, well, even with the tear there, he was still able to dominate college.
Mhm.
And the Mets said, well, with the way it is, you're going to need surgery eventually. So, we don't wish to, go forward with that $6 million deal. Let's rework something else. And Boris said, no, we want 6. So the Mets said, you know what? We'll take the 6. And-
Typical Boris.
Yeah. So Boris had multiple doctors come out and send the Mets reports saying that the elbow's clear to throw. And the Mets and the MLB doctors said it wasn't. Simple as that.
I mean, So Khan, I don't know if you watched his last 2 starts in the College World Series, but you could clearly see that the velo was down. It was 91 to 93 as opposed to 94 to 96. His breaking stuff didn't have the same tightness and sharpness.
Mhm.
His spin rate was down. And I don't remember if the last show, you were in the comments, I asked, is he hurt? And were MLB teams noticing this as well, and that's why they kind of wanted to do their own independent test?
Yeah. So remember on Facebook where I had comments saying, remember what I said about his timetable, ... It's going to come true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone that I spoke to knew that he was damaged. His elbow was damaged.
Wow.
I haven't spoke to one person, whether it was a beat writer, a reporter, or someone who works for a team that said that his elbow wasn't damaged.
Wow.
So because whoever was drafting him was taking him with the knowledge that there would be potential surgery.
And so this is why he felt a 10.
Part of the slide. Yeah, it's part of the slide. I mean,
So
he
his,
would have been an 8.
his velo was 94.7 average fastball. It dropped this year. His slider spin rate was dropped. His walks increased. He got, so on face value, his stats looked better, but all the advanced metrics all took a big regression.
Wow.
His last 2 starts, he had nothing.
He got hit hard.
Everything was squared up. Everything was
Yes.
barreled. And I think the biggest red flag that we saw that we can confirm that he knows he's hurt, his team knows he's hurt, is he's not going back to Vandy. He's sitting out a year. If he knew he was healthy, he would have gone straight back to Vandy, dominated, and did what Luke Hochevar did, and go right. Aiken did it too, and go right back in the first round. He's not even enrolling to even throw a pitch next year. He's basically willing to sit out, hope the tear recovers a little bit or whatever damage is in there, and hope to get redrafted.
Wow. So this is, have we seen something like this where a guy is a top 10 pick, gets hurt, and then sits out, and then may fall out of the first round following year?
Yeah. So Mark Appel did it.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
that didn't really pan out.
Yeah.
Brady Aiken did it. There's another one. Carter Stewart for the Braves did it. He's in Japan right now. There's been a couple examples, and every time the team has gotten off better. The Astros with Aiken blew out his arm the next pitch he threw after being drafted, and they took Bregman with the comp pick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Toronto drafted Tyler Beede. He got hurt. They didn't sign him. They drafted Stroman the year after with that pick. Tampa did it, and Tampa got Meadows instead of I forgot who it was. And the Braves ended up getting Max Fried with their comp pick.
Wow.
So what you're saying is the Mets are going to get someone who's going to be an impact in the MLB.
No, I mean, I think getting 2 first-round picks next year is a no-brainer.
Well, no,
So
it makes
they're
sense.
actually set up. They're set up really well. So the 2022 draft is 10 times stronger than 2021.
Really?
Mm,
Yeah, you know what? You're
okay.
right. You are absolutely right.
The 2022 draft will put this year's draft to shame. And I loved players in this draft. I loved a handful of them to be absolute all-stars. 2022 might be the most stacked draft we see of the decade.
Wow.
I can agree with that. There's
And
some
not
I
only
wouldn't know that. That's news to me.
the Mets not only get their pick, they get the
Yeah.
11 pick, and they're going to get a compensatory pick for whatever free agent they lose. So they could have 3 picks in the first 30 picks.
Well,
oh man.
see that information to me is very important because after you said what you did about Kumar's elbow and that it did kind of come down to money, even though they were saying it wasn't money, I felt like if it's like Tanaka, there's a chance that Kumar can still be a impact arm for the Mets, at some point, especially if you're looking at 2, 3, 4 years out, whatever the time frame might be. And to not sign him was like, well, arm injuries do happen. And it's not like it's 10, 20 years ago where you have an elbow injury. Oh no, it's the end of your career. You still have a great chance to be impactful. But when you say that the 2022 draft is going to be even better than this draft, and that the number of picks they now have in a 30 pick radius, it's like it's a no-brainer to not sign him and just take the additional pick. So I that makes sense to me.
And
So
I do want to talk.
You
Go ahead,
you
Kyle.
go.
Okay.
There was. Oh, sorry. No, you go. You're good.
No,
Let the guest go.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kyle.
So there was one reporter I spoke to who said that the Mets did this knowing this could happen. They did this. They took him at 10, thinking that if his MRI came back clean, they were gold. They got a top 3 talent at 10, and if they didn't come back clean, they knew where they were going to recoup a bunch for 2022.
So it was a win-win for them.
A win-win for them.
Yeah, because usually they have 2 overslots, right? Like that's what I've been reading.
Yeah.
That typically an MLB team, if you take an overslot, you'll have another one just as a backup, just in case they didn't do that.
And that was the one thing I criticized them for, not having a secondary high school overslot.
Yeah.
All right, my last question is: Steve Cohen was getting a lot of backlash for his tweet about, he always, it's about investments. Basically, the tweet was regarding investments, and I think he was spot on from a business sense, and I think it was fans kind of being in their feelings and being reactionary because Kumar Rock is a stud, and they didn't have the inner workings of what was really going on. What's your take on Cohen's tweet?
All right. So optics, poor. But he said what he said was spot on. He's a businessman. All these players, I get it. You don't want to say that players are investments or talk about them in a monetary standpoint, but that's what they are. At the end of the day, that's what they are, especially in the draft. I get it. Fans were pissed about Rocker not signing because of the potential. But at the end of the day, he's an investment. Cohen is a businessman. A guy like Rocker, if you sign him and he pans out, he makes you hundreds of millions of dollars. If you sign him, he doesn't pan out, you've thrown away some money that you could have used for a stud draft pick next year and make that money back.
Yeah.
So I didn't love the optics of his tweet because it's just some of the verbiage was a little rough.
It was harsh. It was harsh.
Yeah.
It's businessman talk. He said he also did a great point of exposing the flaws of the draft.
Yeah. Yes,
he completely exposed the flaws of the draft. And the MLB draft is the most flawed draft we have.
Agreed.
There's no way
around it.
Pre and post draft, the MLB has a lot to change.
Absolutely, and I think
the slot situation to me is a mess.
Exposing it. Oh, the slotting is awful. It's
awful. I didn't know that because, I never really watched the MLB draft. I just kind of find out about prospects because I don't follow NCAA. Like if I did, I'd probably know more. But when you spoke about it, I'm like, slotting and like how that it affects certain picks, it made zero sense to me.
It's very
antiquated.
Why are we doing this? Yeah.
It destroys the leverage of any junior or senior in college. Destroys their leverage. Kumar goes back now. Let's say if he would have gone to Vandy, his leverage is murdered because his eligibility is crushed. Next year, a team could say, we'll draft you in like the 30th round. Why? Because you can't go anywhere after that. You have to sign with us. It forces guys to use extra years of their career and waste them.
Yeah. Well, that is there's a lot that the MLB needs to work on, and we've spoken about that on this show. So it's not the first time we've criticized them, and hopefully, I mean, Con, you know some people. Maybe you could start whispering to them. Smoke and mirrors.
Oh,
they've been saying this. You guys should.
Yeah.
But we do have to wrap up. We did go over. I just want to, AK, I want to thank you so much for coming on. First time on Smoke and Mirrors. You were amazing. Everyone that was
Thank you,
listening, watching, and those that rewatch, you're better off for watching all of this and hearing what he had to say, because there's so much and much there, so many nuggets
that you won't hear on your ESPNs and your
not
Fox
at all.
Sports ones.
Real quick, I just want you to give the name of the place we contribute again, and your Twitter handle, so people can follow you, because there's a lot of gems you're clearly dropping.
Yeah, so MLB Marathon is the site I work for. Just MLBmarathon.com. Same thing on Twitter, MLB Marathon, and my personal Twitter handle is just Acon03.
Acon03, and we'll put that. We could drop that in the chat too, so you guys will have that.
Perfect.
But yeah, thank you so much, Greg. I'll kick it to you. I know you want to say your thank yous.
Yeah, much appreciated, bro. I told you it was a long time coming, and you came on here and you killed it. So definitely, I definitely clip that Kumar Rocker stuff and share that in all the Mets groups.
Mm-hmm. That should be everywhere.
Yeah. And attach your Twitter handle to it. Get your name out there even more.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys.
Definitely. Because what was it, 2 weeks ago or maybe 3 weeks ago? You were like a phantom guest. You were in the comments heavy.
What's going on?
So yeah, we're happy to have you. But with that, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to all Hit List content on YouTube, Facebook, and IG. Our handle is Sports HL. Again, that's Sports HL. Coming up, we have on Tuesday Fan Zone. If you guys didn't watch the air date last week, where the premiere of Fan Zone, you missed out with Eminem. All right, Manny and Mike, but they're coming back tomorrow at 5:30. 5 o'clock. We are going to have a break from the main show with Boss Man and from the B show. So we're gonna have us back again on Friday. So it's Fan Zone, then Smoke and Mirrors again on Friday between 1 and 2. And I know you missed us, so you're gonna have us again. Don't worry. I want to thank Con again for coming on, bro. It was amazing.
Thank you, bro. Anytime, just give me a heads up and I'm back.
No problem. Sounds good.
Thank you for saying that, because we definitely want you back on. But with that, that's gonna do it for us. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll be back on Friday, as I said, and till then, enjoy. Take care.